Hello, my name is Prime, and welcome back to ETS2 Showcases, and today we are here in Sweden, specifically here in Stockholm, and we're going to head down to Linköping, which I have probably just butchered the name of that, so I do apologize for that. Regardless, we're going to be hauling some watermelons in this Tiersen reefer trailer, pulled by this IVECO S-Way, and I think it's going to be a fantastic delivery. So without further ado, let's get the truck started up and get on the road. Alright, let's get this show on the road. Hopefully everyone is doing well. I certainly am. It is great to be back here in ETS2. Always love playing some Euro Truck Simulator every once in a while, and, well, I really should do it more often, let's be honest. But it is absolutely fantastic to be back here, and we're up here in Sweden. And there's a good reason for that, and well, it's gonna be the main topic primarily of today's video, and that's because of Nordic Horizons coming in, and well, the work that will be done. And I have to remember, I cannot turn right on red, so I gotta wait here. And because I pulled up too close, I can't even see the light, but that's okay. It's because of Nordic Horizons coming up and some of the work that's going to be happening within this region, and also some of the other reworks and so on that are going to be happening, in particular the Scandinavia rework as well. Otherwise, again, just want to be back here in ETS2 driving the IVECO S-Way, which, if my knowledge serves me correctly, this is actually the very first time here on the channel that I've driven this truck, although it's been in the game for a while now. For some reason, I just did not drive it. I know I probably ages ago mentioned that I would, but I don't believe I ever did, or at least if I did drive it, I did not keep it in the profile, which I typically do, so then I remember well, what trucks I've done and what I haven't, besides just looking through all my saves, which I do have, or all my thumbnails, sorry, which I do have quite a few now, but that's beside the point. Great to be here in the truck, and once again up here in Sweden. So we got to get on the highway, and we'll get chatting about what is all involved with the commentary of this video, which is going to be where we're located again here in Sweden. The Nordic Horizons DLC for Euro Truck Simulator 2 is the next DLC on the horizon for the game. Obviously kind of expanding the Nordic regions of the map, which is going to be lovely to see. Now, of course, in that, in preparing for it, the current Scandinavia DLC, which, well, we're driving in right now, is being reworked. And now, this rework, the Scandinavia rework or refresh project, is underway and will be completed prior to the introduction of the Nordic Horizons DLC, according to blog posts that we have had on the update, which is exciting because we always love some good old reworks here, and we gotta not go too fast here. Don't want to speed too much. It is 80 kilometers an hour, the speed limit here. We always love a good rework, don't we? And of course, you can say what you want with some of the choices, shall we say, with the different locations that the reworks are happening. Regardless, it's nice to have some reworks happening on the map. There's a few of them now underway for ETS2, and Scandinavia is one of them. So this whole area will be redundant, and I guess in some cases it's kind of had little new additions here and there over the years, like for example the Scania Demo Center and so on, which is actually just outside of Stockholm here. It's one of those things that there's been little updates and some different refreshes, but this is a full ground up rework of the Scandinavia DLC essentially, and that will be fantastic because that will help bridge the gap between the brand new Nordic Horizons DLC and the existing infrastructure here in ETS2. Although looking absolutely fantastic, it would definitely show its age, and it does if you have a good memory, or at least very much familiar with the game of ETS2 and the different map segments. It's pretty easy to tell for us seasoned players where the quality changes between different map DLCs based on when they were made. It's just the nature of it. SES Software have really pushed the boundaries for the games on what they can do in terms of realism, and are putting a lot of content in for detail. Yes, at the expense of some performance for many individuals, but there are new things coming to try and help that. But that's besides the point. there's plenty of content coming here for ETS2, and this rework, again, the Scandinavia rework in this region will just help refresh the area, bridge into Nordic Horizons, which is a very exciting DLC on the horizon. We always love new DLC expansions, but Nordic Horizons, besides the history of the region and the landscapes itself, it's just the different opportunities as well for different cargo and industry types, hopefully, coming in with the DLC itself. And, you know, there's just a lot of new space that can come in with that, which again is very exciting. Otherwise, here in the ETS2 world, update 1.55 is on the horizon. Obviously, we've had a little bit of news on it, and technically speaking, there is a experimental beta open for the asynchronous loading, and it's here on ETS2. Now, that feature is supposed to come in with 1.55 in general, and as far as I know, there will be a dedicated 1.55 open beta period for here on ETS2 and ATS, of course. But there is the question mark of when that will be and when we can expect that experimental dedicated beta, whether it will be public, you know, shared a lot that this beta separate than the async beta is coming in. Anyways, there's been some other news about 1.55 though, in particular those who own the Volvo FH tuning pack for ETS2. That DLC in 1.55 will have some new parts added, specifically for the Series 6 Volvo trucks that were added to the game not too long ago, and some other parts updated as well for some of the previous trucks, and I guess some overall new additions as well. So not just making the tuning pack compatible with the new trucks, also taking some new parts and making them universally available across some of the different truck models, which is, once again, fantastic. We always like to see that. Never going to complain at all. Isn't it just lovely, this Swedish countryside, cruising down the highway in our IVECO S-Way, and sorry, car, as I just nearly veered into the left lane there. The IVECO S-Way is such a lovely truck to drive, and yeah, as far as I know, I have never driven this truck in ETS2 somehow before. Again, that was a major oversight on my part, but it is a lovely just highway cruiser. You know, there's a decent amount of customization for the truck overall in the store page. It's a quite luxurious truck, honestly, or at the very least, maybe it was well put together. Maybe is the best way for me to put it. You know, sometimes the Scania and the Volvos generally have that more, well, I don't know. I want to almost say premium feel, but that'd be selling this short, because the interior package here for the top trim is a lovely truck. Lots of features. Obviously, we got the whole camera mirrors here, big screens, you know, but there's not a ton of extra buttons around. It's just a lovely truck overall. Stylization-wise, quite nice. Not going to complain there. So overall, great truck. Nice to be driving it. Drives really smoothly, nice and quiet too, which I guess for our sake here at ETS2 is nice, just to have a more quiet truck as all the dinging goes off as I go by signs and stuff, which makes sense because I do cut some of the corners a little close. I've put shorts out about that before, the various little clips of me getting, you know, a little close for comfort to curbs and so on, and it is a problem. I will admit that. Sometimes it's better than others, but it's the way it is. It's fine. It's interesting how wide the lanes are here. Are you saying why the lanes are, but even just the roads itself? Like, I get this is technically still a main motorway or highway, but it's just some of these areas, it's just so interesting for me as a North American to see, because there's just, I'm gonna be honest, there are some stereotypes for European roads and so on, being, you know, all these lanes being more narrow and so on, and you know, motorways are only look like this. And yes, there are some things that are quite different too, especially on the North American side of road infrastructure. There's no doubt about that. But it's very interesting as a North American to see some of these areas and say, oh, this looks a lot more natural than it doesn't. It sounds kind of dumb for me to say, but it's the honest truth. Sometimes I go along and say, I was expecting this road for this general region not to be so built up and so on. Now here in ETS2, and admittedly, this is where the rework could probably come in handy as well, and some of the new updates for the regions. The traffic density isn't, let's say, the greatest in ETS2 or ATS for that matter, and there's plenty of mods that try to combat this. This could be a major section of, or major point in why my, viewing of this road being, why is it a 4-lane artillery road when there's really no cars around? And that's just the game. I'm not going to discredit anything like that, but I think that adds to some of the perception of, okay, this feels like it's just really empty and wide open. Whereas in American Truck Simulator, for example, or here in North America, it's just because of the North American way. It's quite often to have, a fairly major road, and there's plenty of space around it, and there's, very few cars at times, or often. It's just the North American way of doing things. Often there's generally a lot of, I don't want to say overbuilding, but there's definitely, because of the whole, there's a lot of space available and all this stuff. It definitely can kind of scale itself quite a bit. So being here in Europe is also just kind of a nice reminder of the fact that, some things are just a little bit more tight and cozy and a little bit more peaceful that way. Not all loud, boisterous American, which, has its pros and cons. All right, we have to deliver here to this point, and there's our delivery spot, which is going to be actually not too much of a challenge. Okay, we're going to approach this slightly differently. Put the hazards on here while I do some questionable maneuvering here. So let's go ahead and pull up. We're going to come around this way. And I want to leave that. Put that away, please, road advisor. We're going to take advantage of the... Oh, there's a trailer there. We're going to take advantage of the lovely tight turning radius of European trucks and trailer combinations. And we're going to spin around here and see what I can do. As the truck absolutely goes livid with me with the various proximity sensors, as it should. We're going to spin around here, get nice and straight on to the reversing, or to the desired parking location. And then I'm going to put this where they want it, which is fantastic. A nice simple delivery. I will take that, because not all of them are. I will admit that. Overall, what a fantastic delivery. Great to be here in the IVECO S-Way and with the Tiersen trailer as well. Lovely to be back here in ETS2, obviously, and great to be driving a little bit here in Sweden. Yes, a little bit more of a short and sweet delivery, but it does bode well for what we're looking forward to here in ETS2 with the Scandinavian rework and also the Nordic Horizon DLC. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.